Hi guys, Julia here from JM Squared Vintage. Welcome back to the channel. I am here today with a bins haul. This is actually the result of 2 visits to the bins. They were rough this week. Like, I don't know if I've ever been there where the pickings were quite so slim, to the point where it took me like 2 full-time visits to get this amount of items. I think I've got about 39 or 40 items here, and I was able to find some absolute gems, but my goodness, like, I was there forever. And I left there the first day after about 3 hours being like, I can't believe I only got like 20 items. That's unheard of for the bins here in LA. Like, it was bad, bad, bad. But either way, we pulled it out of the fire. We got 39 or 40 great items. So we still have quite a bit to talk about. But before we get started here, guys, if this is your first time here, if this is your first time stumbling on my channel, first and foremost, welcome. I am Julia, that is my name. We talk all things thrifting and vintage and the business of reselling on the internet here. If that sounds like something that you might be into, consider hitting subscribe down below. I would love to have you along on this journey. Well, without further ado, guys, we've got a lot to talk about, so why don't you go grab yourself a snack, grab yourself a drink. You know I've got my matcha latte. And guys, I treated myself to some really nice ceremonial grade matcha, and now I have an expensive habit. Oh, so good. But sit back, relax, and let's get into the goods. Okay, so the first thing I picked up here was this scarf. So this is an alpaca scarf for sure. And the tag on this is so familiar to me, and I have yet to be able to find anything on the internet about it. It's millions and millions. Please, if you are familiar with what this is, let me know. I am not finding anything in search. Either way, it's just a nice big oversized alpaca scarf, which is something I'm gonna pick up anyway. This was the other tag that was on it. So if that helps the mystery at all, I just couldn't find anything on this at all. With no other brand recognition, just this being an alpaca scarf, somewhere probably 30 to 40 bucks. But maybe I'm mixing it with something, but that name just sounds so familiar. I don't know. I will work on figuring that out, but if you have any idea, put it down in the comments, please. The next thing I picked up here is this great little dress. I talk about these kind of brands all the time. This is a retro style wiggle dress from a brand called Belle Poke. I have sold a couple dresses from this brand, and they're not super expensive, but they are that really intentional, like 1950s kind of rockabilly retro style dresses in the vein of like a unique vintage and ModCloth and stuff like that. The last dress that I had from Belle Poke, I think sold for like $45. These kind of dresses sell so well for me. They're super flattering. They tend to be very stretchy, so an easy fit. As always, anything that has a dedicated buyer pool and a limited amount of brands that make those kind of garments, this is a great combination for us. So keep your eyes out for Belle Poke. Let me know if you've ever found one yourself. I don't think that they're as well known as something like a ModCloth. I really think that ModCloth and Unique Vintage are the 2 companies that kind of like blew up that sector of clothing. But there are a ton of brands like a Belle Poke that are known to the people in that community. Like, you don't need it to be a super popular, well-known brand. You just need it to be known to that niche. Next up, I'll be interested to see if this moves before next holiday, but this is a little Calvin Klein dress, and it's this beautiful green velvet with this big kind of chunky gold buckle. This is very flattering cut. It's a size 12. Now these kind of Calvin Klein dresses, it's funny. In my mind, I always think like Calvin Klein dresses, TJ Maxx. But these retail like $240, $250. Like, they are expensive if you go to buy this at like a Macy's or a Nordstrom. And on the resale market, generally fetch me between like 35 and 60 bucks, depending on what I've got. I am a sucker for a green velvet. I think it's just like one of the most beautiful textiles in the whole world. And this is something that's probably very comfortable to wear. So somewhere in between that $35 to $60 range. The question for me on that one in particular, because it is like dark green and velvet, is it gonna sell before winter? Not super mad if it doesn't, because I'm not anticipating it selling before winter, but you know what? There's pale girls with red hair who need dresses like that all year long. And if you are a pale girl with red hair and you haven't worn something that's green velvet, what are you waiting for? You two are like made for each other. Next up, now this was kind of an exciting thing to find. I haven't found a good pair of these in a while. These are Lululemon Dance Studio pants. And this is the kind of thing that, like, once you know the fabric, it is super easy to spot. It's this like lightweight 4-way stretch fabric with that really subtle like shadow stripe. These are a cargo style pant, and I think that these are fairly new because the size dot is square. If you are unfamiliar with Lululemon, you can typically, if the garment has a pocket, I believe it's usually on the left side, if there's like a left and a right pocket, but in the pocket you'll see a little, usually it's a size dot. The newer ones are this square, so this is definitely a newer piece. And on there, there's like the item number, the size, all that kind of stuff. So this is a size large. These dance studio pants have been popular for a long time, and they sell better than most things from Lululemon. At this point, I want to say I'll probably get somewhere 40, 50 bucks on those. And I have no doubt they'll go quickly. They're a good size, they're a good color. They're that kind of cargo pocket look, which you'll see a lot of people wearing in like Zumba, right? Like they wear those big kind of oversized cargo pants. So great find. Next up, this is something that I saw. This was kind of like hanging over the back of a bin, so I had to kind of dive for it. But I had only really seen the knit and it looked interesting to me. And sure enough, it's Free People FP Beach. I love FP Beach pieces. FP Beach is the one that I find the least and sells the fastest across the board. The only thing about FP Beach is that it tends to be kind of difficult to find the model name. I don't know why, but I generally have the most trouble finding these. This is nubby cotton knit in this pretty butter yellow. It's got this super flattering little panel that you can pull across the front and you can adjust it. I'll probably see again somewhere between like 30 and 50 bucks and probably in no time flat. And this is something that I would use both like boho and bohemian and festival and all those kind of things. I would also use like beach dress, resort wear, all of those keywords, because this is something with how loose knit this is that can easily be like a beach cover up. So I'm always pumped to find that label, always. Next up, this is kind of a heavier piece. So this is from Athleta, and Athleta is a brand that I'm not picking up too frequently anymore. Most of the Athleta pieces I have, especially like the actual activewear pieces, the leggings and stuff like that, have just sat around. That being said, pieces like this still do well. I just don't see a ton of them. This is what is called, I'm gonna butcher this, Pajamas wrap. I have sold probably 4 or 5 of these. They're still selling between like 35 and 50 bucks. This is like a mushroom taupe color. It's a size large, and it's just like a little like post yoga wrap, right? Like you throw this on over leggings and your workout top on your way out of the studio. These still sell really, really well. So when it comes to stuff like an Athleta or a Lululemon, you know, the important thing right now with the saturation situation that's happening on the resale market is really knowing exactly which pieces are worth the investment. And for Athleta, at least, this piece in particular is great. If memory serves me right, the one of those that sold the best for me was like an extra long version that went down kind of to like knee length. And I want to say that sold for like 65 bucks. I mean, Athleta is still very, very expensive. But for me, it's stuff like that, like the post-yoga pieces, and then like the tech streetwear pieces. So like they'll have a button-down shirt that's like a 4-way stretch fabric, right? Stuff like that. Next up, oh my goodness. I couldn't leave this behind. Look at this gorgeous skirt. So this is a maxi skirt. And this is, I believe, what they call soutache lace, which is kind of done with a ribbon, but it's all beaded all over. And it's maxi length. It is absolutely stunning. Look at how it ends. Isn't this gorgeous? The brand on this is Silk Poetry. I believe this is vintage from the 90s, just looking at that tag. It's 100% silk. All of this is silk. All of the lining is silk. It's in flawless condition. I like that it zips here on the side and it's got a little drawstring to cinch it in, and it's an actual functional drawstring so you can cinch it into whatever your waist is. This is stunning. It is a size medium, and sold comps on these skirts are like 40, 50 bucks. This looks like what that brand was known for. But seriously, what a stunning and special piece. This conversation starter at a party for sure. In that gorgeous sage green. There were so many damaged items in the bins this day. Part of it was that there was not a lot of decent stuff. The other part was the decent stuff that we were finding was damaged. And when you have something like this that's as delicate as this is, how in the heck did this not get shredded in the bins in the process between donation and being out there? However it worked, I'm happy it did. All right, next up, I got this little shirt. This is a Jean-Michel Basquiat shirt. This is just from Spurs. I don't know how that is supposed to be pronounced. This is a division of Uniqlo, who does a lot of t-shirts like this, but really anything with the Basquiat crown motif, any like Andy Warhol, any Keith Haring, these kind of pieces are always going to sell just because of the subject matter. I mean, obviously we love Jean-Michel Basquiat here in this house. He's got a really fascinating and heartbreaking story, but either way, his art and his motifs just have remained extremely relevant in the cultural zeitgeist since he got started, and with that, any of the pieces that I see with any of his motifs, I will pick up. Something like this, I'm not going to get a ton of money, but I do know that it will sell quickly because people just love his work, and a lot of things are limited edition. It'll be like a limited edition series, you know, whatever the case may be. But for me, you know, is this something that I would pay like $7.99 for in a regular thrift store? No, I would leave that for somebody to pick up on their own to wear, but at the bins, I'm going to grab stuff like this anytime I see it. And that is the easiest way to spot it. For the most part with Basquiat, it's always going to be the crown. Usually you'll see it with yellow, but next up. Now this is a brand I want you to keep your eyes out for. This sweatshirt needs a little bit of like depilling, and it's got a few specks here on the back, but this brand in particular, Stone Cold Fox, I want you to keep your eyes out for. Super, super, super pricey brand. This was probably well over $100 new. It's got the little embroidery around the collar. And on the resale market, these sweatshirts are going like $40. I've only found one or two other Stone Cold Fox pieces, and they have sold for way more than I anticipated selling them for when I showed them on the haul. But this is very distressed, and that is intentional, right? Like this is how it comes, but it's got a little bit of pilling, and like that's easy to take care of. But a brand I'm always excited to find. So I'll anticipate again somewhere in that like $30 to $45 range for that sweatshirt, which is absolutely blows me away. Because frankly, the quality is just okay, you know? I will say their dresses are lovely and usually like silk and beautifully made, but that, if I had spent Stone Cold Fox money on this, I would have been probably pretty disappointed with what I got. Next up, I had to get these. These were so strange. This is a pair of pants. They're black and they're like a double layer chiffon, so it's pretty much opaque, but these are just a pair of pull-on pants. The brand on this is Original Anthony, which I am not familiar with at all. Please let me know. This tag alone, if you are familiar with this brand, let me know. The reason I got these is because they're wide leg pants with big pleated flares down at the bottom. I'll try to show you that way. Yeah, so they are like full-on bell bottoms, but the bell bottoms are pleated. I just thought that they were really cool and really funky and really different. So we'll find out. It's a size small. They seem pretty generously sized. So I would say that this probably fits up to a medium. I'll just make sure I like list measurements and all that kind of stuff. Not a clue what I'll get on this. Maybe like 25 to 35 bucks. Again, this is just the kind of thing that I could never leave behind because it's so different. Oh, next up, this was a cute little dress, and this is from Rails. Rails is one of those brands that a lot of their pieces will sit around. It's so expensive. This dress, little cotton t-shirt dress, midi length, was probably like $300. So pricey. That is the label. Again, one of those things easy to miss. And I've left behind a bunch of their button downs. Their button downs have just sat for me for a little while now, probably about a year. This dress, this cute little t-shirt dress, I'm all over. I love these little like casual t-shirt dresses for summer, and I know a lot of people do too. The One Piece Wonder. This is a size small, black crew neck, short sleeve, midi length, and then it's got this little ruche here on the side where you can kind of shorten it up and give yourself a little bit of like a kick up in the front. Just something to like break up a solid panel of black. On the resale market, this dress in particular is selling between like $40 and $70. And this is in fantastic condition. This feels like it's really never been worn. So somewhere in that range, you know, even though I've been kind of leaving rails behind a lot, I just know that like a high quality, well-regarded brand's little black casual dresses are still gonna be a great deal. You know, like Rag & Bone is another one that has similar kind of dresses that will still sell very, very well, even though Rag & Bone jeans have come down quite a bit in price. That being said, do keep your eyes out for those sweatpant jeans that Rag & Bone did, because they are reselling for like $100. So grab those if you see those, but everything else, do a quick sold comp. Oh, next up, this is a little LL Bean piece. And it's not the most significant LL Bean piece. The reason I grabbed this, just like a little hooded t-shirt, the reason I grabbed this is because it is insect shield. And this is just kind of a weird thing, but it is something that is highly sought after, in particular for like hikers and birders. You know, a lot of time birders are out in like marshes. So insect shield, which I believe is like an official designation, these textiles are treated with permethrin, which is a really, really effective insect repellent. So if somebody has sensitive skin, or they don't want to put like DEET on their skin, or they don't want the spray stuff, which totally understood, this is a great option for them. And just in general, with the permethrin that is infused in the fabric, it will repel insects beyond the shirt, right? Like it's something that the bugs can smell. So keep your eyes out for it. It's not something to really pay up so much for, but more of like a heads up if you find it in the bins and it's in good condition. Obviously this has to be in good condition because permethrin will wash out after X amount of launderings, but this feels like brand new. And also if you happen to be a hiker or a hunter, or somebody in your life is into like being in the outdoors where there's a lot of mosquitoes, this is good stuff to have on hand. This is a good gift for them. And obviously for the highest risk areas, you do bug spray and this. Like we don't mess around in malaria zones. You know what I'm saying? But for something like this, I'll probably see 20, 25 bucks. Again, not something I'd be a player on at $8, but at a bins cost, absolutely. Next up, oh, I thought this was so cute. I love the style of it. This is from & Other Stories, which is a pretty well-regarded brand, pretty expensive. And this is just a cute little like cream, almost like a light gray granny style sweater. It felt to me like wool. And when I looked at the contents tag, there's actually yak fur in this. So you know that this is gonna be a super warm sweater. I'm not quite sure what I'll get for this. I'm gonna guess probably somewhere between 30 and 60 bucks. I'll have to look up this specific sweater, but & Other Stories is a pretty expensive brand, on a brand that people know, and this is a nice like elevated basic. But yak fur, that's a first for me. I have found a sweater that had raccoon fur in it, but never yak. I swear every day that I'm outsourcing, I get my hands on something that I've never seen before in my life. Next up, these are actually a pair of pajama pants, and they are from Juicy Couture. So they're this little like pink velour. And the funny thing is when I picked them up, I'm like, these feel thinner than other Juicy Couture track pants that I've had my hands on. And it's because they are pajamas. And due to that, I'll probably only see like 20 bucks for them. A lot of people will automatically see the blingy Juicy on the booty and think that it's a grail. The ones that are worth the most amount of money are the vintage ones. And those will have on the tag something to the tune of like made in the glamorous USA. But even the modern Juicy Couture stuff still sells for a pretty decent price, depending on what you've got, color, size, all that kind of stuff. But you know, when you have slim pickings at the bins, you go for stuff that you know is gonna be a quick sale, even if it's not gonna be like a big dollar sale, right? Sometimes you just gotta pivot in terms of what you're picking up. Oh, next up, I got this for me because I have a beach vacation coming up soon and I'm a pale chick. So this is just like a little packable hat from Wallaroo, which are pretty expensive hats. I like that it's just completely like crushable and it'll work. So I'll get this in the wash. But definitely a nice brand if you're looking for a sun hat that you can just like mash into the corner of a suitcase, because that's always been my issue. I've got a nice big straw sun hat that I can't bring anywhere with me, and I'm not going to be that person that is like hand carrying my hat through the airport. Well, it's funny, a couple years back I was at the airport and there was a woman who was next to me, gorgeous girl, gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. And she had this really interesting box with her. And we were kind of chit-chatting. I'm like, what is that? And she kind of turned it around. She was Miss Rodeo USA and that was her hat box. So just this past year, I had a layover in Charlotte and my plane was going out of this gate. There was another plane going to Las Vegas out of this gate. And I saw so many people walking with these hat boxes. I'm like, oh, that's a cowboy hat box. Sure enough, they were all going to Vegas because NFR, National Finals Rodeo, I think that's what it stands for, was happening. That it was kind of an interesting thing if you've never seen what a cowboy hat box looks like. It's a really interesting thing. Anyway, but you know, like the Miss Rodeo USA hat, worth the hard carrying case. $1,000 custom made cowboy hat, worth the travel case. Not for me. Not for anything that I would own. Next up, this is a little Zara piece, and I just thought that this was really cute and something that the girls would love for like prom. This is like a little corset style top, sweetheart style neckline. It's got a little ruching here. It's midi length. And it's got a nice high slit on the leg. This dress in particular on the secondhand market, and I was kind of surprised by this. I just picked it up because I thought it was cute, expecting to get kind of regular Zara prices on it, you know, 20, 30 bucks. This dress in particular has a lot of sold comps in that $30 to like $50 range. So definitely something I will get up ASAP, because as soon as spring break season is over, which is in like the next 2 or 3 weeks as of the day that I'm filming this, we are into formal season and prom season. Next up, oh, I thought that this was so cute. So this is from Janie and Jack's little girl's dress, and it's 100% linen, and it's this super cute turquoise color. It is brand new with tags, and it is a size 8. Janie and Jack, super duper expensive kids clothing. Again, 100% linen, little drop waist. Adorable, adorable. So this probably cost somewhere between 70 and 80 bucks retail. Like they're pricey. But on the secondhand market, I'll probably see somewhere like 20, 25. And that's because it's got the tag. If it didn't have the tag, I would generally see between like 15 and 20 bucks, which is, you know, again, still a decent profit for the bins. Definitely not something I would be like playing around with at regular thrift store prices, but you know, especially when I see something that's brand new with tags, I'm grabbing that and getting that into the hands of somebody else, because those pieces are just so cute and really beautifully made. All right, next up, this is one I have to do a little bit more research on, but man, is this made beautifully. There's a couple specs on it, but I think it's all cotton, so I should be able to take care of it. This is from Kingsley Green. Let me know if you are familiar with this designer. It is this brocade white pencil skirt, and it's got this detail in the back that looks like it used to have lacing in it, but I found 2 or 3 other versions of this that have the same thing. So I'm guessing that this was an intentional way of doing it. I have to do a little bit more research on it because I'm not quite sure what I'll get for it. I'm gonna guess somewhere 20, 30 bucks, but I have a sneaking suspicion that this is a really, really high-end designer. So I have to do a little bit more research. Let me know if you're familiar, but my goodness, this is made beautifully. Again, slim pickings of the bins means we're taking chances on some things, right? And sometimes we're very pleasantly surprised. So, oh, next up, this is a little dress from White Fox Boutique. So White Fox Boutique is like a fast-ish fashion brand out of Australia. This is gonna be kind of hard to show, but it's got like a little bandeau top attached in the middle. This little mini length thing in this light pastel purple. It's called the Unreal Mini Dress. It's a size small, and it is, of course, brand new with tags, which is the main reason I picked it up. I do like White Fox, though. They are a brand that seeds really heavily to influencers, and you'll see a lot of these kind of dresses at like Coachella. This is really where they like shine during festival season. And due to the fact that they seed so intensely to influencers, a lot of the pieces have like really high demand. I'll also say that I love their like sweats. This is odd. They have like club dresses and sweatshirts, and their sweats are really nice quality. I think the shorts that I have are going on like 4 years old, and they are worn just like on repeat in the summer. So just hot tip if you're in the market for something like that. But for something like this, I'll probably get like 30, 35 bucks, depending on like the demand on that dress. But for something like that, I would use like Coachella Festival. I would also use like Love Island, because that's the kind of stuff that people wear for like date nights on that show. Either way, the demand is there. Just one more piece from this bag, and this was an exciting one to find. Another brand that is very, very unassuming if you don't know what you're looking for. And this is from Jarbo. Jarbo is a super, super, super high-end knitwear brand, and I've sold quite a few pieces from them. I've had one that's kind of sat for a while, and I've sold 3 or 4 very, very quickly for like, I think one sold for $200. These retail for like $400 or $500. And this is just like a long sleeve cream sweater, relaxed fit with this little funnel neck. It's lightweight. They're known for like their cashmere and really high-end yarns. This is 90% wool, 10% cashmere in like brand new condition. This typically when you have anything with like a peach on it or like a fuzz, you'll see like little pilling under the arms, no matter what. Even if you have really, really high quality cashmere, you're gonna get pilling under the arms. This, I'm gonna guess, was maybe worn once, if at all. So on the secondhand market, I'll have to look up this specific sweater, but just making a guess based on the size, which is a medium, and the contents and the style, I'll probably see about $100 on this. So I'm always excited to see this label, and it is one that is so easy to miss. Though if you're using your hands, like your spidey senses will kind of pick up on this because the yarns are divine. All right, now this is from the other day that I went, which was slim pickings, and I didn't have a lot of time there, but I did grab this little Tommy Bahama quarter zip shirt. The main reason that I got this is that it's a USC Tommy Bahama thing. And Tommy Bahama does a whole line of things for USC. They'll do collaborations with like Disney, stuff like that. Those pieces from Tommy Bahama are things that you should absolutely look up because that's a really targeted buyer base. I went to a USC game this past fall, and I mean, 50% of the guys there were wearing Tommy Bahama USC things. But something like this, I'll probably get 30, 40 bucks for. You know, it's not something that I would have picked up if it was a less popular school. Like USC is just a really big school with a really intense alumni network, and you see people walking around with USC stuff on all the time here. So again, it's a little bit of discernment in a brand that I don't pick up too terribly much from, but like anything high-end USC, I'm gonna grab. And Tommy Bahama, despite its saturation, is high-end. You know, that was probably over $200 new. Like, you always forget how unbelievably expensive Tommy Bahama is. Next up, are you ready to cry? I'm gonna do some work on this, but I had to pick it up. It's this very shrunken sweater from Saison. So this is the kind of thing that it's pretty felted. So I'm gonna try a bit of a conditioner bath. So what you can do with something like this is you can soak it in warm water with conditioner. And I always say the cheaper the conditioner, the better, and the less fragranced, the better, because the fragrance will stay on. But the conditioner really serves to like soften the fibers. You can also use steam, but basically what you do is you soak it in warm water with conditioner for about 30 minutes. And then you just kind of very gently tug it back into shape. You know, try to use as big a piece as possible when you're pulling, so you're not putting any kind of like undue stress on a specific point. And then what a lot of people will do is they'll lay it out to dry on something like a cork board and they'll pin it in place. I don't really do that. That feels very excessive, but I'll just kind of like go in there, reshape it as much as possible, very, very gently. And a lot of times you can bring these things back to life, but I had to give it a try. It is an extra small, so it's probably less of a job than I'm anticipating it being. If this were in flawless condition, this would be like $100, $150 without batting an eye. This is 37% super kid mohair, 37% alpaca. Like, this is really, you know, high-end stuff. So keep your fingers crossed that I can get this baby girl looking good, because this is a heartbreak, but I'm not leaving this behind. I have to give it a try. Next up, I grabbed this because it felt really beautifully made. This is just like a little tie-dye shirt. It's from the West Side, which I believe was sold at Anthropologie. I just thought this was super cute. You know, a lot of people say that tie-dye is not in anymore. And the funny thing, like, you still see this in specific pockets. Like, if you go to like beach communities, you go down to like Laguna Beach, you will still see the women in tie-dye, because they look amazing in it. They're super tan, and this looks great against their skin. This was, I think, like $150 new, and on the secondhand market, I'll probably get, you know, somewhere 20 to 30 bucks on it. But the West Side, definitely a high-end brand, so keep your eyes out for it. But definitely do a sold comp before paying up. This isn't something that I would have been a player at like $7.99. You know what I'm saying? But at the bins, for sure, I'm gonna grab this. I really love these colors. Next up, I grabbed this little t-shirt. This is from Lafayette 148, which is one of those brands that is just so wildly expensive. Like when you look into their retail prices, this was probably $200 to $300. So pricey. And I have sold this shirt, I think 3 or 4 times, and more so than anything from Lafayette, these shirts have sold pretty quickly for me. It's just a basic like elbow length sleeve, square neck. It's in flawless condition, navy blue. And it's a size large. I mean, again, this feels like it's never been worn. And Lafayette is good like that. Their textiles and their finishing is like exceptional. So these things feel like new for a very long time, but I'll probably see 30 to 45 bucks on this. And I'm gonna guess fairly quickly because I've had that experience time and time again. Let me know, do you guys pick up Lafayette? Do you leave it behind? If you pick it up, what sells best for you? I'm interested to hear your data. I obviously only have visibility to my own, so let me know your experience. Next up, I grabbed this like Y2K vintage shirt from Diesel. This, just to me, the first thing that I thought when I saw it was boy band. This feels like a boy band shirt. So Diesel is a shockingly expensive brand. They've been around, I think, since like the 90s. And they have a little bit of a cult following. You know, for something like this, I'm not sure what I'll get. I think that the pull on this one is going to be the style and being able to like keyword it to the era, but because I'll probably see like 20 to 30 bucks on it. But you know, at the bins on a slow day, 100% I'm grabbing something like this. But I will be using all of the boy band keywords because this just looks like something that was ripped off of Nick Lachey's back from underneath his frosted tips in 2003, you know? Just a few more pieces to go. Oh, this is a little Zara piece. And I just thought that this was so stinking cute. I think that this is actually silk. I picked this up and it's just like, this looks like it's from Reformation. There's cherry prints on it. There's floral prints on it. It's midi length. It has that cute little cottagey core, milkmaid style to it. But again, it's Zara. So I'm not quite sure what I'll get for it. It is a size extra small, which means it'll probably move a little bit slower. But either way, again, just so stinking cute. I can see this going for like a higher price as compared to other Zara pieces. So maybe somewhere 30 to 40 bucks on it. I just thought it was absolutely adorable. And it really does look like Reformation, doesn't it? I also love that it does have a little bit of a drop waist because a lot of these dresses, these kind of cottage style dresses, you'll see they still have that natural waistline where that drop waist, ideally the basque waist that dips in the front, is very, very, very on trend. But I do think that this is silk, so I have to do a little bit of research on it. It feels like it. It really, really feels like it. I feel like that would be unusual for Zara, but I've also found like nice wools from Zara before, so I could be surprised. We'll find out. I should be able to figure out like a little bit more about this dress by just doing like a Google image search, you know? Oh, I forgot I got a pair of shoes. So these are a pair of Paul Green shoes, which is a great brand you should keep your eyes out for. And these are German made. There's a lot of clues to these that you guys should be picking up on. They're made in Germany. That's a big clue. They have a really unusual heel to them, right? So it's like kind of like long and skinny. That's real wood, not like a wood veneer around plastic. You got the handmade on the bottom there. So Paul Green, really high end. I don't like kind of comfort adjacent shoes. These are a pretty small size, so I'm gonna be interested to see how well these sell, but I'm grabbing them to give them a try. They're definitely used. They've got a little bit of wear to them, but not too much. These retail $385 to $400, and on the resale market, I'll probably see like somewhere between 35 and 70. Again, I just have to figure out sizing and all that kind of stuff, but definitely a shoe brand to keep your eyes out for. I forgot I grabbed these. These were all the way at the bottom of the bag. Next up, I found this dress. Okay, so this was such an interesting dress. And it was one of those things that I was like, I'm gonna give this a try because it feels so well made. It's from a designer called Lita Bidet, which I had never heard of before. But the thing that really like struck me is that this is made in Canada. Canada is not a cheap place to be manufacturing things. And this nylon feels just like very, very luxe. Turns out Lita Bidet, very expensive brand, pretty small niche brand, but it's beautifully made. It's a size 10. It's in this really cool chartreuse color. It's about knee length, maybe a little bit closer to midi length. It's a full zip down in the front. It has a little bit of like a utility feel to it, which I will lean into. I wanna say that these retail close to $1,000, maybe even over $1,000. And on the secondhand market, sold comps are kind of all over the place from like the $20, I don't know what I'm holding sale, all the way up to like $300-400. So I'm gonna guess probably somewhere 50 to 100 bucks, but I could be pleasantly surprised and sell this for quite a bit more. But it just goes to show, like, this is a perfect example of brand I didn't know, but it felt so nice. It's finished beautifully, like all the details were there. This just feels luxurious. So I took a chance on it. Didn't even comp it in store because I didn't have a ton of time, but this is a perfect example of a moment that I was shopping with my hands. You know, shopping with my hands, shopping with feel. Very cool. Let me know if you're familiar with the brand. I feel like some of you guys will be familiar with it out there. Next up, this is the other piece that my friend gave me, and she had told me that she found this, and I was like, oh my God, good for you. And she ended up giving it to me, which, you're crazy. If you want this back, just like let me know. This is a little vintage fleece from Bogner. You know I love Bogner. Bogner is one of those really expensive ski brands. I mean, this probably retailed like $400. Bogner and Montclair are very similar in terms of retail price points. So just to kind of put that into context, this is the rich lady ski gear. You go to Deer Valley, you go to the Yellowstone Club, the women are wearing Bogner on the hill. And this is just like a little zip front fleece. I want to say that this is probably vintage from like the late 90s, early 2000s, just going by the silhouette. But there's a brand called Alpenrock that does things that look like this all the time. And these t-shirts are like $200 t-shirts, just t-shirts. And they'll make them for like different ski towns. So you can get an Alpenrock shirt from Aspen. You can get an Alpenrock shirt from Park City. And they do new ones every year. But I had a friend who used to work for them, and she's got some really cool like sample examples. But women would come in and buy one from every single ski town that they go to every single year. So they have like a collection of them. That's like their souvenir, right? And this has the same vibe to it. So I'm gonna lean into that a little bit. I'm interested to see what I'll get for this. This obviously has the Sagarmatha expedition, that's Everest, if you don't know, to the Nepalese. But yeah, I'm interested to see what I'll get for this. Anywhere between like $30 and $150, somewhere in that range. I've never seen a piece like this from Bogner before, but you know, I know that it is a brand that people are very, very loyal to. And if it is a true vintage piece from the 90s or so, this could go for a good price. Or it could go for like high end of bread and butter. But either way, if you see that B, you pick it up. I wonder if that is from an actual expedition or if that was just like a design line that they did. Next up, we're down to, I think, 3 left, was this gorgeous, I mean, Max Mara, hello. Love finding Max Mara, this gorgeous little orange slip skirt. Nothing super special about it. It's beautifully made, as everything from Max Mara is. This feels absolutely brand new. It's a silk blend, which is unusual. For Max Mara, I would expect for this to be 100% silk. But either way, again, just like a little minimalist pop color, halfway between like slip and pencil skirt. So I'm gonna do a little bit of research to see if I can figure out like when this was made. But I will be doing some research to see if I can figure out when this is from, because the tags feel brand spanking new. But probably somewhere between like 30 and 50 bucks on this. Max Mara, of course, wildly expensive designer, but this is a pretty insignificant piece. You know, it's not lined. This is very, very lightweight. So it's probably somewhere in that range. You'll never catch me leaving that label behind in the bins or in the thrift. Just 2 to go, and the first one is this stunning Halston Heritage dress. I've sold a very similar dress to this from Halston Heritage. As a matter of fact, it was the same size, but the one that I sold was like a trumpet skirt. This has these kind of layered ruffles there at the bottom with this beautiful like exaggerated ruffle top. It's a size 4. It's in beautiful condition. Something like this I'll probably get somewhere around $100 to $150 on. I will probably take this to get it dry cleaned just because it is a special occasion dress. There's a couple little like areas of soil here in the back which should be pretty simple to take care of, just the kind of things that you see after an event, but this probably retailed like $800 or $900. The thing that strikes me is the way that those ruffles move. Like, how fun would this be to wear on the dance floor? You know what I'm saying? I will pick up any Halston Heritage you put in my way any day. Something I'm definitely happy to pay up for at the bins, at the thrift, wherever. Not to be confused with H by Halston, which is a diffusion line that they sell in like department stores. Halston Heritage is still a diffusion line. So you have Halston, which is like their couture stuff, you know, thousands of dollars. Halston Heritage is like they're ready to wear, basically. So you're looking at like $500 to $1,000 on their dresses like that. And then H by Halston is like department store prices, if not a little bit lower end department store prices. I think that they're sold in Kohl's. But either way, Halston Heritage, definitely a brand to be on the lookout for. And then finally, oh my God, this vintage stunner. This is an elopement dress for the ages. This is, I think, a 1960s vintage cream and silver. I believe this is like a silk textile little cocktail dress. Could you not see Marilyn Monroe wearing this? I want to get you up close on this fabric so you can kind of see the texture there. This is like little lurex. You can see how they're like raised. It's like almost a little bit fuzzy, but it's lurex, so it has this sparkle to it. But for me, it's that bust line. Look at the way that that's constructed with that little crossover. This is just so special. There are no tags in it, which tells me that this was handmade. And it's got like a little bit of fuzziness kind of coming off of it, which is from, I'm sure, these little tufts. But it's got the metal zipper in the back, which is a nice tell that usually tells you that it's from the mid-60s or earlier, especially in a dress like this. Basically, in the mid-60s, those nylon zippers became the standard. So unless it's like a statement zipper where the zipper is made to be looked, if you have a metal zipper, that at least dates it to like mid-60s or earlier. But this is like beautifully made, absolutely stunning. I think it's like a size 8 or so. Definitely something I'm gonna get on the mannequin, but like, gorgeous. I'm gonna guess that I'm gonna see somewhere between $100 and $200 on this. And almost certainly this will go on to be somebody's like courthouse wedding dress or elopement dress or something to do with their wedding. So special, so gorgeous. I just so badly want to know the story behind this dress because it is just so special. But guys, that is it. That is how we pulled it out of the fire on 2 really rough days at the bins. I mean, again, I found some really incredible stuff, right? Like I found some gems, but it was an incredible amount of digging for my bins. Typically, if I'm at the bins for like 6 or 7 hours, which is about how long I was there for the 2 different visits, I would need to like rent a U-Haul with the amount of stuff that I find, right? Like this was just an exceptionally rough 2 days at the bins. But despite all of that, I think I've got about $1,500 to $1,700 in terms of resale value on that. Again, I've got about 40 pieces here. So all things considered, a rough day in terms of the experience of getting everything, but the gems were gemming. But guys, I appreciate you all so much taking the time out of your day to hang with me and nerd out about some of these things. It warms me to the literal bottom of my soul. You have no idea. But if you guys had fun, please consider leaving a like or a comment on this video. Of course, don't forget to hit subscribe. I would love to have you along on this journey. All of that helps me out so much with YouTube. But without further ado, guys, I hope you have the most beautiful week. Happy hunting, and I will see you all in the next one.